How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be making my red wine and porcini braised short ribs. So go to the store, you can get short ribs. I like to get the boneless ones if possible, but if you have the bones, that's totally fine. And like I said in the recipe, if you salt them with salt and pepper the night before you're going to cook them, they tend to stay more seasoned throughout. The sauce tends to be less salty and the meat is more balanced. So start with your short ribs. We have demi-glaze, we have some red wine, some chicken stock, your aromatics and your vegetables, some dried porcinis, and a little bit of tomato paste. The demi-glaze, if you can't find it, totally fine. You could use beef stock in place of it, and then at the end you'll just thicken the sauce with a little bit of potato starch, and they'll be just as good. So we're gonna start to sear these. I have my oven preset to 300 degrees, and I have a 10 quart saute pan or rondeau ready to go. Le Creuset will work. Le Creuset will work just as well. So here we go, let's get started. All right, so here we are. I have my pan on, it's about medium high. I'm gonna start, put a little bit of canola oil. The pan should be pretty hot. You should see a little bit of smoke coming up. And the object here is to sear the short ribs. So I like to start with the fat side down. And now don't touch them. Let them go. Get nice roasted color on the bottom. Okay, so now I got these nice and seared on all sides. I turn the heat off real quick. I'm gonna remove them from the pot. And we're gonna reserve these while we cook the vegetables. So you're gonna have a good amount of extra fat in this pan. So what I like to do is take a little bit of it out. You don't wanna take it all out because you still need to roast the vegetables. So carefully just pour the hot fat into a container. So you should be left with just enough of the hot fat to coat the bottom of the pan. So I turn the pan off, and now I'm gonna put it back on. And you want to keep it now. If you were searing at medium high, you want to start the vegetables at medium. So we're gonna start. We're just gonna put all the veggies in. I like to hold off on the herbs just until you get some caramelization on the vegetables. So just get everything into one nice flat layer. And let them go. So we got a nice fond going on the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna add the herbs in. Once they start to crackle and pop, then we're gonna throw in the tomato paste. Let that caramelize a little bit. And then deglaze this pan with the red wine. So I'm going to give a couple squirts tomato paste. Give this a quick stir. And then deglaze with the red wine. Alright, so the wine is reduced, the alcohol has been cooked off. We're going to add the dried porcinis. We're going to place the short ribs back in. Give this a little stir. demi. And the chicken stock. Bring this back up to a boil. We're gonna cover it up and put it in the oven. There we go. So it's just coming up to a boil. I'm gonna turn the heat off. This way I can wrap it up. If you have a cover, just put the cover on. If you don't, I'm gonna actually wrap mine in aluminum foil. And this is going to go right into the oven for about 3.5 hours. All right, so these are just coming out of the oven. Be careful, it's hot. Oh yeah, look at that. So just give them a little squeeze with your tongs. They should be soft. These are good. So these were in just for a little bit over 3 hours. All right, I'm gonna give them a flip. I'm gonna let them sit in the liquid for another maybe hour or so, just until they're cool to the touch. All right, so these have been resting in the liquid for about 45 minutes, close to an hour. Just want to carefully take them out. Just the short ribs. Leave all the vegetables and stuff behind for now. And then we're just going to strain this liquid. I'm going to take the vegetables out and then strain this liquid right on top of the short ribs. And we are going to cool that down until tomorrow. So I'm going to pour this in. So I'm going to take a little bit of this out and then cool this down to the fridge. And then tomorrow we're going to reduce the liquid down and heat the short ribs in the oven. Okay, so we're back. I just removed the short ribs from the pot after they cooled down overnight. And I just put this sauce in. I brought it up just to melt everything. I took the fat off of the top. All right, you don't need all that extra fat in there. You'll see it when it cools down. The fat turns white. It's all kind of pinkish. But you're gonna take that fat off and just put the liquid into the pot. You're gonna bring the liquid up to a boil, and you want to reduce it down about by a third, maybe a half, depending on how thick it is. And then right at that point, you'll put the short ribs in. And you'll heat them up in the oven at 350 degrees. And every now and then you'll just baste the top of them so that they stay nice and moist so they don't dry out too much. All right, so here we go. So this has been going reduced down by about a third. All right, it starts to get a little bit thicker, which is perfect. We're gonna add our short ribs right back in. We're gonna baste them a little bit so they don't dry out. And you want to baste them throughout the process of them being in the oven. So this should take about 30 minutes or so, uncovered, in the oven at 350. All right, so these have been in for about 10 minutes. I'm just gonna give them another glaze. And I'm gonna baste them again in about 10 minutes just so the top doesn't get too dried out. Oh yeah, look at those. Beautiful. So here we go. They've been in the oven for about 30 minutes or so. It could take a little bit longer, it could take a little less, it all depends on your oven. The top wants to start to get a little tacky. That's perfect. Alright, I'm gonna plate these up and we're gonna eat. So here's the finished plate. Put a little bit of the extra sauce on the side and we're gonna serve this up with some crushed potatoes and roasted asparagus. Hope you guys all enjoyed the recipe. Hope to see you around. Take care.